You put two of the best teams of China together in an epic best of two, and you're probably going to get a lot of entertainment out of it. Tetra's already hyped. I can see by your moves, by the way you move. And tell me what your thoughts are about this series. Who do you currently rank stronger, and who do you think is going to walk away with the victory? Or is it going to be another one of those infamous China 1-1s?
I wish I was wearing my Ty Dillinger shirt today because the numbers don't lie. And right now, SPT are ahead of CE, and they have been playing as the better team. CE, once again, their drafting and playing style continues to follow a singular format and appears to be a little bit slower in terms of growing some of the other teams, whereas SPT massively struggling at the start of the season, and then decided, you know what, let's just not play bad anymore, and decided to play a little bit of a different style and a little bit more fast pace, and so far it's working out for them, and as such, they sit in a solid second place, a fair amount of points ahead of CE, in this case, a solid 5 points ahead of CE. In order for CE to catch up, CE needs a 2-0 SPT, and then 2-0 RPG, hoping that BTG can take a map or two off of SPT.
And I think a big component, a big part of why SPT is looking so good right now is the awakening of Lucky and Soap. You have two players who looked a little bit shaky at the beginning of this phase, and they're now showing their prime form, their absolute A-game every single time. Especially Lucky, I want to talk about here a little bit more. He is the replacement from Molly. He is the newest addition to the team. And we were a little skeptical because historically, you know, the new ranged assassin players haven't really fit in so well after Zheng Zhao's departure.
That's true, and it is a little bit unfortunate, but we do see Melody C here, who has always fit into the team and seems to have flexed out his role at least a little bit to make room for Lucky, and he did the same with Molly, but Molly sort of only found himself on Medivh, and that's the only one that sort of worked, and it was still worse than Melody C's Medivh. But it seems that Melody C and Lucky have definitely spoken to each other and are filling in for each other's weak points and just trying to make the other one as powerful as possible.
Absolutely true. And then, of course, we still have CE to talk about. A team, as you said, Tetra, that is not looking as strong as last phase, where they won the championship. Wait a minute. Wait, are the rumors true?
Wait.
Did you read the Twitter yesterday?
I did. Apparently, they are being coached by Scrolls Through Mentions Zera.
Yeah, Zeron, from former HGC Korea team Gluck. So
that's interesting because Gluck aren't that good. But it's still nice to have that little bit of influence and experience from the Korea region. It is always nice to see.
All right, so this is the first time we saw the coach in the booth. I'm not exactly sure how the communication is going to work either. Like maybe Zeron speaks Mandarin and has no communication issues whatsoever. Maybe they're using a translator.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be there with them, and they seem to be conversing normally. So, who knows? We will have to find out right now. This is some of the best spirits I've seen CE in, so having that little extra voice in there at least seems to be keeping them nice and cheerful this morning. As we do see SPT stats, as I said before, the numbers don't lie, but CE, they're looking to run down to completely rewrite the numbers here today in this series.
Yeah, and in the most recent match history, you could see how CE were just about to recuperate, right? But then they faced the one, and they took a heavy blow in that series. They were absolutely getting demolished from start to finish. SPT have already faced the one, I believe. And or are they going to play them today?
SPT have already played the one. The one are only playing KT today.
There we go.
Which also means that if SPT do not 2-0 this, then the best they can do is tie with the one if the one somehow get O2'd by KT.
Yeah, which is very, very unlikely going to happen unless the one is not taking it seriously anymore and they're just trying to have fun with new experiments, but that is probably not going to be the case. So, for now, back to the series. SPT against CE. The first battleground, as you can see, is going to be Volskaya Foundry. A very cool one to observe, especially in HGC China, where team fights are always a given. So, especially near those conveyor belts and the capture points, you're going to have the craziest of engagements. For now, we're going to see Hanzo getting banned out against SPT. Lucky, in particular, is going to be a little sad about that.
He will. It is unfortunate, but also this could have been a hero that a Lufil might have been able to jump onto, so we're seeing once again all that focus, at least at the beginning of the draft, onto these assassins. Diablo, though, was banned out by CE, actually noticing the pattern of Misaka and removing that away. The problem is, even though Misaka has had a preference, he has not in any way had a weakness on anyone else.
Yeah. All right, so the Phoenix getting locked in there as well immediately. So let's see what the Phoenix will be able to do against all that. And, oh, never mind. There we go. So again, just getting banned out.
If it fixed the roboting, because apparently I'm roboting.
Yeah, it's not fixed, unfortunately. I don't think it has anything to do with Discord, man. Yeah, anyway, I'm not sure what you did last time, but it seems to have worked out. I'll take over, though. Take your time, Tetra. We want you to be in tip-top condition. And I think, considering all that Tetra has done over the last few days and weeks, you know, double casting 2 events at the same time, a little bit of microphone issue here and there won't really take anything away from him. So for now, Muradin, SPT, Misaka is playing very well in that hero. It's one of his go-to heroes whenever they're trying to make those aggressive plays happen. Like, if you thought Timeless was aggressive on those heroes like from KT, then watch until you see Misaka. The difference is between a world-class player like Misaka and a really, really good player like Timeless is that Misaka normally has more controlled aggression, right? He has more of a calculated, risky playstyle, whereas Timeless sometimes like to just go Hail Mary, YOLO in there, and see what happens.
Test. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Wonderful.
It is literally just unplugging and plugging back in again, but the problem is the issue appears to be getting closer together each time. Also, I think I have seen a false widow under my desk, so I'm a little concerned, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on that as the draft goes on. But either way...
Stay safe, friend.
Yeah, my feet are staying quite close to my chair at this point. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. I know where it is, so I might try and kill/remove that ASAP, but... we do have, with the Tracer banned out, once again, CE and Lufil getting focused down here, but he already has the Phoenix on board, so it's not so bad here already for him.
Yeah, and oh boy, how good it is to see those triple bans live in action. And oh boy,
yes.
how good it is to play the classic double support Vala for SPT.
Now, once again, this is classic double support Vala, but this was usually Qin Zhao's job, and
yes, sir.
He is not here anymore. So as such, the main player in that particular type of combo is missing. So we have to be concerned about that.
And the question is, who is going to play the Vala right now? Are they going to let Lucky take over? Or are they going to let Melody
Lucky,
C
right?
play it, right? The thing is...
oh.
Okay, double blind immediately locked in against that. So not only are they trying to overpower their opponents with sheer tankiness, CE that is, right? Going for Irel, the Johanna there as well, and Cassie being very tanky against auto attacks as well. But they're trying to cripple Vala even more by blinding her over and over again. And the synergy between the Johanna and the Cassie cannot be overstated enough as well, because the blinds will basically benefit from one another. And we see a final pick on Junkrat, so it is going to be Soap on that Tassadar. Lucky plays the hypercarry Vala, and no secondary tank being locked in. Instead, we see probably a solo laner Junkrat, which is still pretty solid.
I mean, we could see Melody C on the Tassadar. Soap could solo lane that Junkrat. So the flexibility is there. Also, I have removed the spider, so I am, at least for now, safe.
Big win.
So yes,
big
win. So for now, we do have, as you already mentioned, a double support Vala, which we actually saw in Open Division with exactly these two supports yesterday. Deca Kane appears to be new best empowering support. The first game, it was one of the most one-sided games we have seen in the tournament that didn't involve E-Punk's Black. The second game, the Decad part of it was removed, and it lost. So it was with Mafia instead. Third game, it was taken by the other team, and they won.
Okay, so it was played against E-Punk's Black in the Open Division?
No, it was the other semi-final.
Oh, okay, it was the other semi-final. Okay.
Yes, it was the most one-sided. It was the first game, at least, was one of the most one-sided games we have seen that didn't involve E-Punk's Black in it.
Oh, I see. So the Vala reigned supreme in that game.
Yes, it did.
Oh,
Deca Kane turns out to be just such a good support for it. With the Tassadar as well, can be very scary. But those blinds from the Cassia could be exactly what needed. Got the double blinds, as you already mentioned. They have a fair amount of slows. Let's see if this works out for them as we are preparing, ladies and gentlemen, for our first game of our second series of the day in our El Clasico, and we're heading to Volskaya Foundry.
That we do, and going live, spawning on the left-hand side in the blues, it is the super perfect team with Lucky on the Vala, Melody C playing the Junkrat, Misaka on the Murden, Soap is playing on Tacitor, and ZZH on that Decker Kane.
And on the right-hand side, it is going to be CE Challenge with a Lufel on Phoenix, Wind on Johanna, 365 on the Malfurion, KTY on the Yarel, and Zhuyu is bringing out the Cassia.
All right, so they're putting double blinds against the hyper carry composition of SPT. Can CEs stop the onslaught, or is Lucky going to reign supreme? Already, his aggressive behavior gets protected by a Tacitor shield, by those healing potions from the Decker Kane as well.
We are seeing it being a hot pursuit build for that Vala. Going to give her a little bit of extra micro potential, and of course that mana regen. This always leads into a multi-shot build. You can go auto-attack build, but it's bad, so you don't.
Yeah, we have yet to see a true auto-attack build in any HGC, I believe. As such, I probably wouldn't recommend these experiments in such important game like SPT versus CE, right? So, as Tetra said, we're probably going to see a W build.
There's like one situation I would recommend the auto-attack build, and that's if your opponents have some reason gone 3 tanks, because multi-shot build's going to get no value.
Yeah.
Maybe the auto-attack build with Manticore will allow you to actually burn people down, and even then you might still have to pick Farfight Quiver to just get a little bit of extra range instead of Rancor, which could give you the best percentage damage value technically, but that puts you in danger of the multiple tanks. You just pick Tigers, dude, as we do see the lanes being cleared up.
And especially against the double blind, you know, the auto-attack build would probably get even less value than it normally would anyways in the first place. So, for now, we see nothing out of the ordinary up to this point. You see third wind coming in from Muradin, by the way, so valuing the slowly but surely health regeneration more than, let's say, the block, for example, or the additional damage on the Storm Bolt. Definitely a good thing to do, especially when you have to fight over objectives for a longer period of time, you know, such as, let's say, the Infernal Shrines, such as the Immortal, or the Volskaya Foundry Protector. Like, this regeneration talent will give you a lot of value, and most importantly, it will actually save some mana on your support player, because no longer will they be forced to consistently pump those heals into you.
And whoa, interesting. Now we have some talents to talk about that are unique. It is going to be Plate of the Whale, my personal favorite talent on Cassia, along with War Traveler. It is the kiting build if you go for the War Traveler, but it is Lightning Fury into the Plate of the Whale. It basically means that as long as you are moving, you are regaining health. It increases your it means you're gaining health while your avoidance is activated, basically. And then, if you can build into that War Traveler, then you gain extra movement speed the longer your avoidance is activated, which means you can just run around and throw spears at people. But it also means that while you are taking damage while your avoidance is activating, you're gaining stacks. If you fully stack, you gain max health, and that is a big deal. Zhuyu, though, he's going to gain some stacks now as he's going to get focused down, but he's able to survive thanks to that healing pulse.
Yeah, the healing pulse doing massive work, actually bringing everyone on the side of CE back to good health. And Tetra, you mentioned the Plate of the Whale. It's such an interesting talent, right? The more you get attacked, the more health you're going to regen through the course of the game, right? And with attack animations such as Tacitor, for example, which are very fast, like brrr, like the laser beam, that's going to stack up so hard. And although Tacitor's auto attacks aren't hitting you very hard, it's still every tiny tick counts as a basic attack. So yeah, if Tacitor is not careful, if Soap isn't being careful, that's going to be a lot of stacks for Plate of the Whale.
There's also not even that much extra health it gives you. You gain a 10% max health, which at level 1 for Cassia is not that much. She has 1,840 scaling up as the game goes on, which is still nice. Once you're reaching the later levels, that number can become pretty significant, as we see Soap taking a little bit of extra damage here. KTY tanking the front line for the moment. Avenging Wrath gets himself out of the Scroll of Sealing, but Junkrat picks up the kill and puts Wind in a very rough position here. Able to pull back with that double kill that SPT were able to pick up. They are going to be able to seize control from CE and begin, finally, their own control point percentage ticking.
Yeah, I think CE is
Warcraft.
doing a pretty good job up to this point, with the exception of them not respecting the Junkrat enough. Time and time again have we seen how Melody C was able to use a concussion mine to put Zhuyu into his team's backlines. And as a Cassia who lacks any sort of teleport or dash or other escape mechanisms, that is very punishing. So if you overextend your welcome, then you're basically going to be in a world of pain, and that's what happened twice now. Now, the first time Cassia was able to survive because of that healing pulse, and it happens again. They're consistently going after Zhuyu.
But he's able to survive this time, keeps himself moving. He's gone for that burst of light, but the surge of light, by the way, not going for War Traveler. Instead, getting that extra burst damage for his team, which is going to be incredibly helpful, as his team already has blind, so he's going to gain that value already. Shooting in the damage. To be Saka taken out. Nice moves here by Win, putting on the pressure. And KTY immediately realizing his team's going to get the objective. Priority number one becomes experience and runs straight to bot lane before the Protector is even finished.
Exactly. Now it's all about destroying towers, soak up those minion waves, and as Tetris said, establish that early experience lead. And I'm not really sure what happened to Murden there, whether he was in crowd control or whether he wasn't expecting to get that much burst damage done onto his body, because there were like 3 or 4 potions nearby. So I think he was probably stunned or rooted by Malfurion maybe, so he couldn't even access those potions.
Quite possibly. Speaking of those potions, they are placed in these defensive positions here. Tassadar and Junkrat pick him up, which means Lucky gets none of them, but Shield from Soap keeps Lucky topped up mostly. A little bit of extra damage. It is the armor talent, by the way, Carlos Light, so a little bit of extra protection for Lucky here, who is eating a lot of damage. That armor very much keeping him alive at this point. He may have almost certainly died to that Protector beforehand, if not. Now the Protector, we're going to see it stay back, 5 seconds remaining, just going to use the ability so that no one is spawned when the Protector explodes inside that fort range.
Exactly, so really safe play by CE, very cool and calculated, you know, not really exposing themselves after the Protector was going to get destroyed or expired. So they're actually moving on right to the next healing pulse, and that is very smart. Level 10 is there for them, but not for their opponents. So they can use this short time window to actually secure yet another very, very powerful objective. And KTY keeps those lanes clean for now. Level 10 has hit for SPT now as well, and they're going Archon, no Force Wall, the Riptire, and the Avatar, and Rain of Vengeance, of course.
Whereas CE have brought out the Valkyrie. They are going to try and grab that Valor or grab that Deckard and put them straight into the just holy avenging wrath of Uriel. That's going to be good here. Also, I do believe that at level 20, does that actually slow, or is it just root?
It's a root.
Just rooting. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically an additional amount of CC. I'm not sure if we're going to see the upgraded Valkyrie because, you know, Revenge of the Titans or Titans Revenge is still a very, very good talent. So, although a lot of heroes have been robbed of their armor, it's still nice because of the attack range as well.
That's true, and of course there are ways to get armor. We've already mentioned Tassadar's Carlos Light, Muradin Dwarf Toss.
Yep.
There are ways to get armor. Gloom for Valor, although that doesn't actually get affected by Titan's Revenge, but still, it's fine. As we do see Alufal and KTY grabbing that turret item here, going to be ready to put on some pressure. Uriel finally picks up her level 10, going with the Argent Defender.
Now, at this point, I would love to see like how many stacks Zhu was already able to accumulate on his Plate of the Whale, because he's getting attacked all the time by Vala, by Tassadar. Misaka now under a little bit of pressure. Doesn't have to use Avatar yet, though. KTY takes that damage, too.
You'll have to see, but you can see here, he's sustained. He is currently at full health because he is moving so often, and he's just staying in this mid lane, not even mounting up almost at all. Riptire coming in, they're going to try and make a play. Nice interrupt. Johanna with the Condemn interrupts it, gets sleep, but it's fine as KTY does into the back line looking for ZZH. Oh, Valkyrie looking for ZZH. He moves towards Misaka and Soap, giving himself an escape route as KTY is continuing to dive forward, looking for it. Alufal has to teleport back as well as the pressure is applied. Misaka is low. KTY with the dive, but Stormbot will get Misaka out. An incredible trade by these two teams, but the deaths aren't happening. Lightning Fury is fully stacked, but Taz survives.
Huge power spike for Cassia, getting 2 stacks of lightning there. The Thunderstroke now totally completed, wonderfully done. Actually in a very, very quick manner as well. You see the record there on the bottom left. Olele actually keeping that record for the A team, quite impressive. So now Cassia's going to hit even harder. She's going to have even more poke, more AoE damage as well, which is something Deckard Cain sometimes struggles with. So the more targets he hit, the more potions he's going to have to spam. 13 is here as well. The hammers are spinning for Johanna from now on. And Cassia is going for the cooldown reduction on his spears as well.
Now, she is going to spam out them spears. Get the maximum damage output here is what this build offers. We'll see how well it is able to work here. And this is also an interesting thing, thanks to Place of the Whale. It means you don't actually have to move it in range to drop the blind to get the healing. Yeah, you can drop it for damage output, but you don't have to rely purely on either diving in for auto attacks or even moving into range for some fens to actually get the stacks here. The percentage is contested here, 63-0, as Win did move off the point earlier, so Misaka is holding it before the percentage begins ticking up. Lucky begins dueling with Zuyu, but look at that physical armor. Zuyu tanking through without a care in the world.
There goes the Emerald Cube to deny a little bit of healing onto Johanna and Cassia, but it was used a little bit too early in my opinion. Now we have a really peculiar situation here because SPT, they need to gain control over this objective. The Iron Skin baiting all those crowd control abilities and tanking through so much. Alufal completely unattested because the entire attention from SPT right now is totally on the Cassia.
But look at this, Zuyu back to full health again, Place of the Whale. Nice interrupt on Riptire, I think I saw there, but I'm not entirely sure. Tranquility is blocked anyway. Valkyrie does not land, and it was not an interrupt. Still already available, not on the 10-second cooldown. 99 being contested here as Misaka dives directly into 4 heroes. Down goes Alufal. This time Riptire lands. Zuyu dropped incredibly low in the multi-shot. Avoidance cannot help you with that. He goes down.
Yeah, we talked about Alufal being a little ignored there. I think he felt too safe because traditionally SPT in that game had been putting so much focus, so much attention onto Zuyu instead. But that one moment where he found himself a little too overzealous, maybe a little bit too safe, they snapped the trap on him. And without 2 of their main DPS damage dealers, CE is no longer in any condition to contest this objective. 46 and counting. CCH is doing a smart thing. If you're running low on mana as a support and it's safe to teleport back, do exactly that so you can come back rejuvenated and with full mana to contest this.
SPC 72% available now for Super Perfect Team. Everyone from CE is on the way back. They really, really want this objective. It's 14-15. No talent advantage will be available. Good stun. Try to hold Wind off the point, but he still makes it on, but took a lot of damage in the process. KTY dives back, forces Tassadar away, which means Valor is vulnerable. Here comes the salvo. It's interrupted. Never mind. Misaka gets it with the Skullcracker here, as we see a huge amount of damage being dropped here as the sleep comes in, but KTY is causing so much chaos in the background that they aren't able to hold this line. They force Misaka off the point. KTY still going hard as he finally takes the damage. Riptire might finish him off unless they can kill off the Riptire before it finishes him off, but they get it. But they also get the protected. Nice snipe onto Tassadar with the salvo.
A Protoss for a Protoss there. Phoenix taking out Tassadar. And that, as you said, Tetcher, was marvelous play by KTY in particular. How do you sometimes deal with the double support Vala? You don't necessarily always focus down the Vala. You take care of the supports who enable her. And who's the main enabler here? Tassadar, without any doubt. So that beautiful zoning, that beautiful pressure that KTR was able to put on the Tassadar denied some of the value that Lucky was able to get. As such, it was just perfect positioning by CE, a really, really good fight by them. And also to have the guts, the determination to come back onto this objective, right? Fight with that level 16 and get that value, get the objective in the end. So well done.
I'm going to assume, due to the hecticness of the fights, that I think Plate of the Whale will be completed by now. I just don't think I've seen it happen. So, but I'm going to assume, due to the amount of damage, as you've already said, Juyu has been taking, I would be very surprised if it was not already done by this point. I mean, not very surprised, like a minor amount of surprise, 40% surprise, as Lucky vaults to dodge that extra burst damage from the Protector, still eating all the hits, but the shields are good as Misaka dives for Alufal. Is the teleport available? Yes, it is. Dodges the stay a while and listen, and there's the kill on deck, and KTY even survives a Riptire from basically point blank.
Now the Valkyrie coming through. Nice. You thought maybe he could reach Lucky, but they're getting him anyways. Are they? No way, you gotta be kidding me.
The clutch heals from Tassadar, keeping Lucky alive. Juyu once again, the duel with Lucky continues. The battle for supremacy. The Demon Hunter versus the Amazon, as Lucky is able to pull back this time. Juyu comes out ahead though, that play to the whale, keeping him topped up. But with the lack of Decade, Lucky cannot keep up in terms of health.
Exactly, and CE, they're going in confidently here now. Although the concussion mine is causing a little bit of mayhem, they're stealing away that objective like it was a piece of cake. So now they maintain a lead in terms of items over their opponents. The healing pulse is left for contention as well. They're already grouping up. They need to go in there together, though. KTY leading the charge. That Urel is putting in that work, causing so much commotion and so much confusion in the backline of SPT.
As you continues to throw in spears, Tas finishes Scion Fusion, always nice. Extra damage and extra radius now, so that is super useful, as well as that double storm that he now has for both wave clear and harassment. SPT going to try and use their slight numbers advantages, as Phoenix was not here yet to try and start this healing pulse. Yep. However, Urel comes in from the side. Phoenix has now arrived. This was not finished in time. Urel's being more of a distraction than anything. Decade activates the damage route. Huge damage coming in there from Cassia, but now Urel dropping dropping low in health. Argent Defender keeping him alive. Riptide onto basically just Juyu. Tranquility keeping KTY alive as well. Dimensional shift from Juyu prevents prevents So from being pulled away, but Salvo will snipe two members here. Melody C escapes. Lucky is dropping low, but both his supports are dead. Down goes Lucky. Melody C will escape. Misaka will maybe not escape. He might have been off one Pikachu here. No, he will make it over the wall. But the triple kill, the double support, and the Valor killed off.
Wow. And that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen, if you put too many resources, too many cooldowns onto potentially killing any rel. Look at KTY in the bottom half of your screens there, how he's tanking through all that damage, going in cheekily, absorbing the Storm Bolt, the stuns, puts the Ardent Defender into good use, and then comes the Tranquility to keep him alive. 10 armor all the way through. Hashtag 10 armors matters. Yeah. And then look at Juyu. He's having a heyday. Alufal and Juyu, they're clean in house here with a double, triple kill. Fantastic. And also, the stone cold reaction coming in from CE. Not finishing the Merc camp, but instead going for permanent damage in the bottom lane.
Very nicely done here. Cassia did, in fact, by the way, go for the upgraded Valkyrie, going very aggressively here. I'm also quite surprised, honestly, that Cassia did not go for the slows on the lightning javelins to see if she could synergize with Phoenix, but it was still enough to snipe yet another kill. But SPT, they're back looking for another move here. Healing Pulse, though, is still picked up by Juyu. They've raided at least a little bit, but this time they're not going to overcommit, as level 20 is available for CE.
Yeah, I think they were hoping on maybe catching, let's say, 2 or 3 members of CE there, while the rest was doing other Merc camps. So, as you said, I like the fact that they scouted it out, but I also like the fact that they didn't overcommit to it. Now, this could be an overcommitment, though. They're fighting 18 to 20 over a turret camp?
Riptide gets taken out. We're seeing huge damage onto the Archon, forcing Tassadar to back up. The Valkyrie does not land. KTY is once again just being a beast, holding the line. This time, though, Soap will survive. Stay a while and listen, because guarantees the survivability of the entire team here. Misaka is moving in, trying to find the right target here. Soap turns back around, drops the Storm. KTY, though, he is the focus once again, and that's a bad target. Tanky. He just keeps surviving, as Vala is doing everything she can, trying to be the hyper carry they needed her to be, with Junkrat dropping grenade after grenade. The ice block keeping 365 alive as the turnaround begins. Alufal pushing forward, looking for his opportunity. Good condemn as Lucky's will down. Fall. Misaka dropping low but barely escapes. But with that kill, they're looking for Decade Kane. They're gonna find him, but he stays alive thanks to the Shield of Tas. It's a 4 versus 5, moving on to the core.
Are they going for the core here? Tassadar is low. Soap needs to heal here, right now. It's only 4 versus 5. Vala is not there yet, so the damage is relatively low for SPT, but they're still putting on the pressure onto Zoo. They blow down the double support of SPT and CE Tetra. I think they've cracked the defenses. They're going for game 1.
They are crushing through this. Melody C cannot defend this alone. And that is game number 1, going over to Challenge. This is what they need. If CE can score a 2-0 here, it is possible for them to overtake SPT. It requires SPT to not take points in their second series of the day, or only take 1 point, which might result in a tie. But Challenge, The dream is alive. It is possible. And either way, even if they don't win their other series, or even if they don't overtake SPT, what they can do is keep themselves ahead of BTG. And that means they would keep themselves in third place, guaranteeing that they would go to Eastern Clash no matter what.
Exactly. So for all these top tier teams, whether it's CE, SPT, or the One, it's all about the seeding, right? It's all about getting that best place possible, so you will face quote-unquote easier opponents from Korea or China in the Eastern Clash. That is going to take place in the mid of August. So really solid performance here by CE. I can't give them enough credit for pulling it through with that clever drafting, with that beautiful execution there as well, especially KTY. If he does not get your MVP's vote, then I don't know who will. Because true, the damage was delivered by Zhuyu and Lufu for the most part. But hey, if KTY hadn't created all that space, all that commotion in the backline, I don't think Lufu and Zhuyu could have reigned supreme as much as they did.
And I'm going to be honest, I think Zhuyu has been spending a fair amount of time. I think Cassia, ever since Urel has joined the Nexus, those two have been spending a fair amount of time together, because Cassia, even though KTY, like you said, definitely deserves MVP for just absorbing so much damage and causing so much mayhem, Zhuyu, with that Place of the Whale build, did his best Cassia impression with "Do your worst" and just tanked everything they threw at him. He died once, I think, that entire game.
Yeah, he died once because of positioning mistake, and he got flung into the backline by a concussion mine of Junkrat, of Melody C, right? But whenever the Junkrat shenanigans weren't on point, he was indomitable. He couldn't get killed. Like the healing done by his Plate of the Whale, as you said, the healing done by Malfurion, and even the Urel support in a different way in shape and form, right? By creating space and distracting the enemy team was just impeccable. And I don't think SPT played this poorly by any means. I think they had their moments in which they shined pretty much. But in the end, I think it was just too easily to get countered, especially by smart drafting from CE. Maybe they should have banned the Urel. Maybe they should have banned even like the Johanna. I think Johanna is oftentimes super undervalued or underrespected if you play the double support comp.
Possibly. But hey, it all came down to damage.
Yeah.
Because like we said, there was all that sustain coming in from CE. And ironically, despite not going the auto attack build, which is exactly what we didn't want them to do, the biggest issue for Valor, the biggest issue in terms of damage for SPT was auto attacks. Because that multi-shot build, I don't think Hungry... I'm going to preface this by saying auto attack build would have been worst, and Hungering Arrow build might not have been any better, because it's single target damage, and that could have been very easily prevented by Deca Cane shielding and the Urel protection, etc. But the multi-shot build was the best choice. But punishment requires hatred stacks. That's the level 4 talent for Valor. It empowers the multi-shot via the amount of hatred that you currently have. The problem is, to gain hatred, you must auto-attack. When you're against a double blind composition, not only are you not gaining the damage from those auto-attacks, you're also losing out on punishment stacks. So it might have just been situations where it was like a 4-stack punishment, which is still a decent amount of damage, or maybe even an 8-stack, but it's not the optimum amount of damage. And that's exactly where we started to see the damage numbers lack. You can see there, I believe it's the third from the bottom is the main hero damage, and it's a full 170,000 more for CE.
I also think what was a little bit of a problem there in those team fights, like I'm not saying they lacked crowd control in general. KTY, by the way, much deserved, good friend. I'm not saying they lacked crowd control, right? Because they still had the Junkrat, they still had Muradin and the Rain of Vengeance on Valor. But what they lacked, in my opinion, was reliable crowd control, right? To follow up on, let's say, a Stormbolt, to maybe keep that Urel under control a little bit more. Heroes like a Dahaka, heroes like a Blaze, they could have maybe done a little more in those actual team fight scenarios than a Junkrat. But then again, you lack other things in your game, right? You lack